Hey guys, and welcome to Quality Shot. When I'm very pleased to be joined by Asjad from Cricket Fast 2.0, and we're going to be going over South Africa versus India. South Africa winning the recent Test match by 7 wickets to seal the series victory 2-1. India look like they might have a chance to win their first ever series in South Africa. It wasn't to be. South Africa still reigning victorious. Asjad, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks. Just as you know, I predicted 2-1 to South Africa, but at the same time, I was supporting India, so I was in that middle ground. But so I'm happy my prediction was right, but I'm really sad because I think India's team was on paper better than South Africa, but South Africa lost Quinton de Kock, lost Anrik Nortje, so those were pretty big players. But some of the players that have stepped up, it's just been a delight to watch. So yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah, it's true, right? I mean, de Kock and Nortje potentially two of their best out of maybe 4 players in Test cricket.
Mhm.
So shows definitely some fight from South Africa, but also shows how hard it is to win away from home. And
Yeah.
conditions are they play such a big part in cricket, as we know, in Test cricket anyway, for the most part. I don't want to just specifically talk about one Test match. I would rather just we can talk about the series as a whole because I feel like actually a couple of the matches followed a very similar pattern. It wasn't a particularly high scoring series. You know, 200 to 250 was pretty much like a norm from what we saw. Obviously, pitches that favoured the bowlers a little bit more, or at least competitive matches that we all saw results to, which is what you want to see, right, in Test cricket.
Yeah.
Let's start off then with the, I guess de Kock obviously retiring from Test cricket. Verena came in, and it's interesting because he averages, I think it's over 50 in Test match cricket, if I'm not mistaken. Not Test match cricket, sorry, first class cricket.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, first class cricket, Test match cricket, yeah. But he hasn't quite looked particularly good in this series. Look, I mean, it's tough. India are a very good side. So I think, just to judge him on one series is very harsh. And obviously, he's been quite exciting in the white ball stuff from what we've seen. But he seems to have some quirks about him, let's say, in Test cricket. What are your thoughts on him and kind of being a replacement for de Kock? And do you think it's just people judging him too quickly?
So basically, I talked about Varane in my video, which I haven't released yet. So I'm gonna give you a little spoiler here. Basically, I think Kyle Varane is not a like for like for Quinton de Kock, but he's a more aggressive player. He's more attuned to limited overs cricket. So they thought, oh, let's just bring someone in very akin to England bringing in Sam Billings, okay, as an option in the Ashes, right? So I think it's too early, definitely too early to kind of say, oh, this guy isn't good enough. Yes, he has quirks. Steve Smith has quirks. Marnus Lampashade has quirks, right? So does Rory Burns, but let's not go in that direction, right? But genuinely, if certain players have quirks, doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means maybe they'll take a bit of time. I'd give him at least a couple of series, maybe 10, 15 games. Again, that I'm maybe being a bit too generous, but I think from a South African perspective, they might have found someone who's good enough with the gloves, and his batting will come into it. If he has a first class average of 50, which tells us that he is good enough with the bat, it's just this series wasn't the greatest for him. And on top of that, India is a very, very good test team. So all that taking into consideration, I think Kyle Varane as a potential replacement, decent shout. But again, it's hard to match what QDK has done for a number of years now. It's hard to kind of fill in those shoes. It's like when Brad Haddon came in instead of Adam Gilchrist, or when Haddon left, someone else coming in. It's that type of situation. So yeah, I think it's too early to say anything.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Yeah, I mean, QDK definitely had a good Test career whilst it lasted. I think we could tell that it wasn't his favorite format by stretch
It
of the
was.
imagination, which is why he's retired from it, and he's still going to play ODIs and T20s. But yeah, a little bit of a shame. But yeah, let's see how South Africa go forward with the gloves. But he's a very good glovesman from what we've seen, Verena, to be fair. So that's a big plus. And obviously, that's his primary role. I know nowadays you need to be able to bat as a wicketkeeper, but let's be honest, that's what they're really in the side for. From an Indian point of view, there's obviously the big question marks, which seems to happen for about the past year around 3, 4, 5.
2 years
Kohli,
now. 2 years now.
yeah, maybe 2 years, yeah, and that seems to, I guess, coincidentally, coincided with Kohli's 100 drought. Which, look, I mean, he still scored a very good 70. I think it was in this match in the first innings, a very defensive 70, but at the end of the day, it was like,
Technically,
Yep.
Technically, he scored 100 if you combine the two
Combined,
innings.
yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking that when I saw
I've
both
said
scores.
that. I've said that in
Yeah.
my video as
Well,
well.
that's hilarious. Yeah, classic. I'm sure no one will be saying that, but yeah. But so I mean, obviously, he's definitely going to be in the side. I know
Yeah.
he's a Test match captain. He's going to be in the side. So forget that. And obviously, look, I think he'll find form at some point. Has he had the best moments of his career? Maybe, but he's still a phenomenal career nonetheless.
Yeah.
Rahane and Pajara, though, they've kind of had, again, a lot of question marks around them. One of them, then one innings, one of them gets a few runs, and then another innings, the other person gets a couple of runs, and it's kind of like mix and match. But they haven't quite done enough to, push the doubters away. And then you got people like Shreyas Iyer who are pushing for. They had a really good series when they played previously. You got Vihari who scored runs, then got dropped. Right, I think he got 40 odd, then got dropped because obviously
Yeah.
Kohli came back in.
Mhm.
And they've got people knocking on the door.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly the batting was something that could have improved in this series. Is that a cause for concern? And were you disappointed with how India applied themselves? The reason why I say that is mainly in that second innings of the last Test match, Punt played really well. He got 100 not out. The highest score after that is 29, which is Kohli. After that, it's 10.
Yeah.
And so you have to imagine that how many people got single digits. So we're talking about 8 players getting single digit scores. They lost. I mean, they lost a huge amount of wickets. It was they scored 46 runs and lost 6 wickets.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's because Punt on one end was just trying to blast it, right? Because he knew
Yeah.
he didn't have much time. I mean, that surely is a cause for concern, right?
100%. If you listen to Virat Kohli's interview or one of his conferences, he genuinely said batting's the issue. We're having collapses here and there, and I'm thinking you're getting collapsed pretty much every game, right? You can't say sometimes. It's pretty much every game, if not every second game, especially when you're playing away from home. They've had really good they've had really good opportunities to score runs. You've seen South Africa in the previous game and in this game apply themselves and win the match at the end. I think both of those matches, they won by 7 wickets in the second innings, which is when it's harder to bat. Okay, so there's two ways to look at it. Yes, India has not batted to the best of their abilities. There are players like Shreyas Iyer. There's when Rohit Sharma comes back, Rohit Sharma as well, right? You could consider Hanuma Vihari, as you clearly mentioned. But one thing for me, out of all of that, however many runs Pujara and Rahane scored when they batted together, it looked like they were stable again. Maybe they're back everywhere. In cricket media, I was like, Pujara and Rahane are back. Pujara and Rahane are back. I'm telling you, I'm being a bit harsh, but I think this is where Virat Kohli might be looking at, and maybe Rahul Dravid is looking at. That's why KL Rahul is now the vice captain. Rahane and Pujara are going to be dropped in the next 6 months. I've got a very, very strong feeling of that. Sorry, go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, I was going to agree with. I was just going to say that I reckon they might slot KL Rahul in at 3.
Yeah.
Sorry, at 3 or
5
5.
and Vihari at 3 or something like that.
Yeah, exactly like that. And then they'll bring in I guess it'll be probably not maybe Shubman Gill, and then Agarwal. I guess. I mean, Agarwal's played quite well, to be fair. I mean,
To be honest,
it's hard
Rohit
to drop
Sharma
him.
opens for me.
So of course Rohit Sharma. Of course Rohit. So Rohit Sharma and then either Agarwal or Shaw or Gill, right? They're kind of one of those two.
Yeah. I think who knows? But honestly, I do agree with you that they will need to get rid of players who have been really good for India, Pujara and Rahane. But it seems like the direction they're going in might just be the direction that we're talking about. That, oh, we need to bring in young players. We need to consider these specific players rather than thinking of, oh, Pujara and Rahane have been playing for X amount of time. For 2 years combined, they've probably scored like 3 centuries together. Max, like, I don't even know how many, but maximum 3 centuries maybe together. So yes, there is cause for concern there. KL Rahul, wherever he's batted really well. So I personally would love him to open. But the thing is, Mayank Agarwal, when he bats lower order, in the lower order or the middle order, he doesn't perform as well. So for that reason, KL Rahul in the middle order kind of makes sense. And Hanuma Vihari, I completely agree with you there. So batting is the biggest issue. However, if you look at India's bowling, you have Bumrah, you have Siraj, who got pumped in the second match, right? You have Shami, who's been sensational. Okay, you had Shardul Thakur. Who knew Shardul Thakur would be India's #1 pace bowling all rounder? And he's done a great job. He's batted well. He's picked up a 7 for. He's batted aggressively, batted defensively in many occasions. But with India's bowling, it hasn't had the same zip. They had the zip at the start of this game, in the start of the
Yeah.
third test, but in both second test and the third test, in the second innings, their bowling just looked a bit off, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, lacked
It didn't,
penetration.
yeah,
Lacked
lack of
penetration. Yeah, 100%.
100%. And then, when DRS and reviews and issues about off-field things come up, right? They get too aggressive, and then they just stop. Like, there's a lot of people talking about this, about issues with technology, XYZ. But you have
Yeah.
to also realize the effect of that entire incident. For the next like 4 to 6 overs, India just didn't look the same, and South Africa took advantage of that, and that was a recurring
Yeah.
stream there. Yeah, sorry. Go
Do you
on.
think that's a bit of a weak mentality thing, though? That sounds harsh because obviously
It
they
is
played
harsh.
so well in Test cricket for, well, yeah, 2 years. To be fair, they've been very good. Obviously, they won away in Australia, but they've obviously got this fire, which was akin to the old Australian side, right? Which is being really aggressive. Braun wants to fight everyone, apparently. Mark Jansen, who's huge, and he's like, yeah, come on. He just wants to fight a Kohli, shouting up a mic, and I'll get your views on that in a second because I think we have to. It's hilarious. But after that incident, right, surely, as you said, I think they got a bit carried. It's almost like, when England, they were trying to bump I think it was
Yeah.
India, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anderson started trying to bowl bumpers because he got frustrated. I was like, what are you doing? So it was almost a similar instance here. It almost went to their heads and they didn't keep their cool in quite a crucial moment. And then, South Africa just completely cruised it, right, in the end.
One thing I want to just add is, you said weak mentality. I take it as, when a team's doing really good and then they start losing, or if they're in
Sore
a position.
loser.
Well, you're gonna say that, aren't you? Right? Because
no. But I'm just saying. But like, if you know, what I
like
mean,
if you get into that situation, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna get aggressive. You're gonna
not used to it, are you?
Yeah. And when you're not used to it, I said this to someone else. I was like, when Australia or West Indies back in the day, they started losing, and if they started to chirp, that would mean you're getting to them, right? And that's similar thing here with a team. South Africa. This is not South Africa at their best. Okay, this is South Africa with 2 big blows right before the series. Yes, you could say you can't just base everything on 2 players, but on the back of that, if no offense to Olivier, even though he's been really good in domestic cricket, and he's just not the same Olivier we had before. But if Norkia was in that side, those 4 bowlers would have been absolutely dreadful from an Indian perspective, right? But back to our point. Maybe not weak mentality, but more of the sense that, the moment took them away. Similar to England with those bounces against India, because they didn't expect to lose in England, right? It's England, right? So I completely understand where you're coming from. So it's definitely a thing which India will have to rethink. But their batting is the biggest issue, in my opinion.
Yeah. DRS situation, I want to get your views on it quickly before we go into some of the players that I want to talk about from South Africa, who, players that some people might not be that familiar with, but performed really well. What was your thoughts on it? I mean, it seemed a bit unhinged.
Right. I'd say what I'll say is, this reminded me of the David Warner thing, like last year, where it looked like it was hitting 4th or 5th stump or something.
Yeah.
Again, technology 99% of the time is fine. 1%, you're gonna get issues.
It happens.
But thinking that Super Sport did it, or thinking that like I don't think that's the right way to go down.
Not even Cricket South Africa, but the
Super Sport, right? And it's not even the broadcast. It's like Sean Pollock said, it's the ICC who brings the technology, who has the technicians, right?
The broadcaster.
So again, it's tech messed up. We understand that. However, they got Elgar like a few overs later, so I don't know why they were like complaining. Yes, if those 20 runs, and I said it in my video, I'll say it again, but if those 20 runs were so crucial, right? That if South Africa survived those, if Dean Elgar got out then if Van der Dussen came in, he would have gotten out too. That would have put pressure on South Africa. I don't think that would have happened, right? The way South Africa batted, it doesn't look like they were going to be in that type of situation. So genuinely, I think it was just getting into that moment a lot, getting aggressive when you
adds the frustration, doesn't it?
Adrenaline and all that stuff kind of comes into it. Then you get actions which are kind of funny in hindsight. They're kind of funny in hindsight.
Yeah, I mean Kohli, just very
I feel
aggressive.
bad. I feel
Wants
bad
to
because
stop Marcus smashing his foot. So they're gonna get some heavy fines, man. That's what I'm gonna say.
they've got
Uh,
15% fine at least already, haven't they?
okay, well,
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, it's very interesting. But
Yeah.
yeah, look, I mean, to be honest with you, as I said, I thought this would be quite a good opportunity for them, but it just shows, doesn't it, that it's hard. It is hard away from
Mhm.
home, and the reason why it was so hard is mainly like on the Jones about Rabada. Rabada's so good. We know how good he is. We go on about him all the time. I do
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Marco Janssen, though, I'm
Whew,
going to be honest, never seen him before. Left arm
really?
fast bowler. No, I
Okay.
don't think so.
Okay. IPL,
No.
that's why I've seen him. I've
Oh,
seen
okay,
him.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
have. I don't think I've seen him. No. So, but 19 wickets, so one less than the top wicket taker of the series of Rabada. Average of 16 though, which was better. I mean, he was so good. And then Keegan Peterson, what a find! I know he's played before, but I haven't seen him bat like this. He topped the run chart, average 46 as well. Obviously, Dean Elgar behind him. I mean, how good were those two players? They really stepped up, right? In the absence, really, of Quentin de Kock and of Nortje. That's exactly
Yeah.
what happened.
Exactly. And the thing with Janssen was the positive was he can bat a bit too, right? On top of that, his bowling was very aggressive in the sense that he's not bowling 150 kilometers per hour or 140 or something, but he just kind of keeps you at that line where the batsman is uncertain, and because of his height, he gets a lot of bounce. He gets a bit of movement, but he gets that bounce, which is absolutely crucial. So yeah, Marco Janssen saw him in the IPL earlier. But yeah, haven't seen this much of him, especially in the first class scene. Keegan Peterson, though, he's played Test cricket before. He has a pretty decent first class average, but the way he played, it was like a man possessed, coming in at three on most occasions. And Aiden Markram didn't have a good series. Dean Elgar had a couple of good knocks, one really good knock, the 96 not out. But come on, man. Keegan Peterson was absolutely brilliant this series. And I was very happy to see it because you don't see many young batsmen come into the South African lineup and step up like this. So yeah, very very happy that he did, and I don't see him going anywhere anymore because him and Janssen, you can talk about Rabada and Elgar, etc. But in terms of the two new players joining the South African ranks basically helped them win this entire series.
Yeah, I agree. I really agree. It's a phenomenal performances from two of the South Africans to come in. In terms of, I'm going to quickly ask you two questions. First, performance of the series.
Keegan Peterson. It has to be Keegan
Yeah,
Peterson. Yeah, like in total, just Keegan Peterson's freaking
yeah.
three series. Or if I had to pick one, like one
Yeah,
innings, then it's the
yeah,
96 from Dean Elgar. If I had to pick just one innings,
yeah,
it'll be the
yeah,
96 from Dean Elgar. That was
yeah.
outstanding.
I think if India win that third Test match, then Punt
It'll be
gets it right for
Rishabh
the
Pant.
100.
Oh man,
But
yeah,
but it's just unfortunate they didn't win it. So you just you're not going to remember it, right?
yeah,
Unfortunately, it's just the way it is.
yeah.
Whereas he does the same thing in Australia and they win, then obviously you remember it. But yeah, agreed. Yeah, very very interesting series. To be fair, is there anything you want to touch on before we wrap up?
No, I think I'm done with talking about India South Africa Test series because the ODI series is coming up
Yeah, looking
soon.
forward to it.
And yeah, thank you so much for having me as always. Please like, share, and subscribe everyone to Quality Shot, a great channel for tennis, cricket, and boxing.
Thank you. Yeah, please do. And also do, of course, check out Usher's channel, Cricket for Us 2.0, which we tagged in the video as well. Stay safe and well, guys. And I will try and do some watch alongs to the ODIs. It would be nice if I can. And also, yeah, I mean, yeah, the Ashes was disappointing. Let's not go on to that. But yeah, anyways, thank you very much, guys. Stay safe, and I'll see you on the next